started with northern white performers who observed blacks or Negroes or slaves at that point, really entertaining themselves.
Hey, I have an idea. Yes. You'll be around here about a half hour before the show. You mean you gonna let me watch up close? Jim Crow, you'll practically be right on the stage. Woo! Wheel about, turn about, wheel about and turn about and do just so. Every time I wheel about, I jump Jim Crow. Give me back my clothes, please.
What they did was to imitate some of the actions they saw, some of the songs that they saw these slaves singing, and to put on grease paint or blackface.
Look at my mother. Why do you talk like that?
The white performers who did minstrelsy did not really do black comedy at all. I mean, the jokes had nothing to do with blacks whatsoever. They were basically gags that were taken, and they were of show business origin. They were riddles and gags taken from the northern stage. When blacks came in, you had the emergence of an authentic form of black entertainment, although they still veiled it with the stereotypes that had been set up by the white performers.
The definition for acting is to do. All of this is an act.
Leonard Reed is an African-American who played in both all white and all black vaudeville.
I told you why they put on cork. Not to be black, but to get the expressions from the face. When you put on cork and white lips, you can move the lips around and everybody can see them moving around, and that's a laugh. And I think anything that you can do to get a laugh should be in show business. Show business is show business.
And I think that burnt cork for a lot of those vaudevillians was a mask so that when they came off stage, they could disappear into the crowd and nobody would know who they were.
Almost all the black comedians before 1950 wore blackface, even for black audiences. In the beginning, they had to.
Yeah, let me tell you about that bull of my father's. You see, right,
but some wanted to, like the great comedian Dewey Pigmeat Markham.
5 o'clock. And that bull is so fast and so smart, every afternoon about 5 o'clock, he goes way up to the point of that pasture and race that train 5.5 miles.
Oh, yeah?
Would you believe it? That bull beat that train by 1/2 mile.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Some bull.
I know it's some bull.
And when Pigmeat took off his cork, he lost the edge that he had in laughter. I said, Pigmeat, what's happening? I said, the bit isn't going. He said, I don't know, I can't express myself anymore. He said, they made me take off the cork, and the cork was not to prove that I was black. They knew I was black. He said, but Negro, that's what he said, but I just lost the edge. I can't feel like I felt when I had the cork on. And he was broken-hearted till the end. Pigmeat was broken-hearted till the end that he had to take off cork.
Pigmeat Markham was one of the last American performers to take off the mask. His fans were surprised to discover that his face was darker than his makeup. He had been lightening up, not blacking up, for 40 years.
Am I roll over this? Put my trust in group of dust. Cause you know someday, baby, you will never.
Through talent, courage, and a refusal to be stereotyped, some performers overcame, like the Nicholas brothers.
Yeah.
Naturally, we're going to say no if they ask us to blackface and put on tramp thinking. No, they never did ask us that. I mean, in all the years that we've been in show business, I think they thought we'd be out of character to do that because they always see us in the tuxedos and the tails with class and grace and all this.
Maybe that's why we never got too many parts in movies, you know, because we wouldn't do the Memmy scene, you know, and stuff like that. So.
Dinner jacket on stage. He was proud of his music and insisted on showing that pride. Of all the vaudeville performers who overcame huge obstacles to achieve success and dignity, the first, the greatest, was Bert Williams. He started out a minstrel in 1893, and by 1910 was the most respected comedian on the American stage.
Bert Williams' sample character, although he himself said it was the same shuffling nigger that was being portrayed by other people, was done with such subtlety that he came across as a human being.
And my dad was a straight man. He says, well, what size do you wear? He says, well, I wear 10s, but 11s feel so good, I wear 12.
He just seemed to relax, and everyone knew there was going to be a fun.
That was still convenient and cheap. And they didn't have to give up vaudeville.
They buy an act, the things. Once they did that on film, there was no place to go anyway.
Please, after the bell.
A 1926 film demonstrating sound production techniques is also an opportunity to watch vaudevillians Witt and Berg give away their act. It was a good act, and nice to have it saved forever on film. But nobody ever heard of Witt and Berg again. Some vaudeville theaters became cinemas with live acts between features. Vaudeville drew the crowds originally, but eventually the vaudevillians were called coolers because their job was to fill the time it took the projectors to cool.
Snow White and Seven Dwarfs is only about like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 25 minutes long. So every time the movie ended, we have to do a show. And that's where third day, I was exhausted, I collapsed, and they carried me off to the hospital. But that is how I became a choreographer.
I played 8 shows a day when I played the Paramount in New York. We'd do a show, a movie, a show, a movie. And in those days, I can't understand some of these people who think that one show a night is too much work for them.
Movies were bad for vaudeville, but in some ways, radio was worse. It came directly to people in their homes. You could attend in your underwear if you wanted to. And in 1932, when almost a quarter of the audience was unemployed, radio was all free.
People stayed home. And we wanted to hear it. We would cluster around a radio backstage.
Bands had always been in vaudeville, but when radio made them famous, they took over the whole show with live acts thrown in between sets, but only a few. For the majority of vaudevillians, the handwriting was on the screen.